Hello and welcome to day of my 12 days of Christmas challenge. Today I'm going to be picking my number 9, and while there have been a few exceptionally talented options, I was never in any doubt about the man that I was going to pick. One of my favourites that just missed out is Gabriel Batistuta. Batty spent time at Newell's Old Boys, River Plate and Boca Juniors in his native Argentina before moving to Europe with Fiorentina in 1991. During his years with the Viola, he became one of the best strikers in the world and was a regular around the top of the goal scoring charts, winning the Capocannoniere in 1994-95 when he scored 26 goals. Overall, he scored 200 goals in all competitions with Fiorentina, but could only win the Coppa Italia and the Italian Super Cup, so he moved to Roma in 2000 and scored 20 league goals as they won the Scudetto. Batty had a great record with Argentina, scoring 54 goals in 77 appearances. He also helped them win 2 Copa Americas and the first ever edition of the Confederations Cup. Another player I thought was superb was Romario. I think sometimes he can be underrated due to spending a lot of time outside Europe when most top talents from South America spent their best years here. Over a 24-year career, Romario only spent 8 years in Europe. 5 of those came with PSV Eindhoven and 2 came with Barcelona before he had a single season with Valencia. The majority of his career was played in Brazil, with his main clubs being Vasco da Gama, Flamengo and Fluminense, although he did also play in the USA, Australia and Qatar. Overall, he scored 690 goals in his club career in 893 appearances, which shows just how good he really was. Internationally, he scored 55 goals in 70 games for Brazil and helped his country win the 1994 World Cup, as well as 2 Copa Americas and a Confederations Cup. As good as those two were, I had no doubts in making my selection, and in my opinion, if this guy had more luck with injuries, it would be Ronaldo that people consider as the best player of all time. From a personal point of view, the reason I fell in love with Barcelona was because of Ronaldo. He was only there one season, but it just so happened that one of the magazine programmes on Sky or Eurosport showed La Liga highlights, and I saw a lot of them and was mesmerised by the young Ronaldo. He had the pace and power of Cristiano Ronaldo and the skill and guile of Lionel Messi. Sadly, his body wasn't built to last, and we only got a few years of him at that level, but even after the injuries, he was still top 2 or 3 in the world. Ronaldo's career began in Brazil with Cruzeiro. He scored 44 goals for the club despite leaving when he was just 17 years old, which just goes to show how explosive he was. In his 2 seasons with the club, he helped them win the Brazilian Cup and the Mineiro State Championship. Ronaldo signed for PSV Eindhoven in 1994, and he continued his goal-scoring form in Holland. He managed 54 goals in 57 games for the side and helped them win the Dutch Cup and Dutch Super Cup. His second season was slightly marred with the beginning of the knee issues that would plague him over his career, and he only managed to play 21 games. In 1996, Barcelona paid a world record transfer fee to sign Ronaldo, and once again he didn't disappoint. 47 goals in 49 games in all competitions wasn't enough to bring a league title to Barcelona, but they did manage to win the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, the Copa del Rey and the Spanish Super Cup. It was with Barca that Ronaldo scored one of the greatest goals of all time against Compostela. He was fouled about 3 times after picking the ball up around the halfway line, but it would have taken something not human to stop him in his tracks as he bulldozed his way toward goal before cutting inside and finishing. Despite that amazing season in Catalonia, the Barcelona board were unable to agree a new contract with the Brazilian, and Inter Milan paid his release clause, another world record fee, and Ronaldo was off to Serie A. His first season was as good as always, with 34 goals, including 25 in Serie A against Italy's notoriously stingy defences. A particular highlight was his performance in the away leg of the UEFA Cup semi-final against Spartak Moscow, when he scored twice and was completely unplayable. He also managed the net in the final when Inter defeated fellow Italians Lazio 3-0. Unfortunately, Ronaldo's injuries kicked in during his second season, and for the remainder of his time with Inter, his appearances were few and far between, with only 24 appearances between November 1999 and leaving the club in the summer of 2002. While he was never properly fit in that period, his record was still respectable, with a goal every other game roughly. In 2002, after a good World Cup, Real Madrid made their move and Ronaldo joined Los Blancos and the rest of their Galacticos. In truth, he wasn't the same player as he had been before, but he was still world class, which goes to show that even though he had to adapt his game, there still wasn't a striker in the world better than he was. Ronaldo stayed in Madrid for 4.5 seasons, and for the first three his record was excellent. In the last year and a half, injuries began to creep in again, but over his time with Real he scored 104 goals in 177 games, which was better than a goal a game. He also helped the club win La Liga, the Spanish Super Cup and the Intercontinental Cup. Ronaldo moved to AC Milan in January 2007 and again fitness would prove to be an issue, making just 20 appearances, but even then he scored 9 goals, a respectable amount for a player that had been through as much as he had physically. Ronaldo's final move of his career would see him return to Brazil with Corinthians. He began well, helping them win the Brazilian Cup and the Sao Paulo Championship, but injuries and fitness were still a problem, and during his 3-year stay, appearances gradually decreased before he finally decided to retire in February 2011. Ronaldo didn't achieve as much as he should at club level, but he made up for that in the famous Brazil jersey. He was actually in the squad that won the 1994 World Cup, although at 17 years old he never got on the pitch. His first success with Brazil came when they won the Copa America and the Confederations Cup in 1997, and they would go on to defend the Copa America title 2 years later in 1999. Sandwiched in between these victories was the small matter of the 1998 World Cup, and there's no doubt Ronaldo made his mark. He scored 4 goals as Brazil made the final against France, but sadly he was only at the final in body, as he had suffered a seizure in the hours before the game and was nowhere near his usual high standard. The next few years would be mostly spent in rehabilitation due to his knee issues, and for lesser men his career would have ended there, but somehow Ronaldo came back firing in 2002, scoring 8 goals including 2 in the final as Brazil won their 5th World Cup. Ronaldo would return 4 years later to add another 3 goals to his World Cup tally, breaking Gerd Muller's record, although Miroslav Klose has since taken that record back to Germany. Overall, Ronaldo scored 62 goals in 98 games for Brazil, which is the 3rd most of all Brazilian internationals behind Pelé and Neymar. After retirement, Ronaldo never went into coaching. However, in 2018 he became the majority owner of Spanish top-flight side Real Valladolid. While they haven't done anything particularly remarkable under his guidance, they have so far managed to maintain their La Liga status, which when you consider they were newly promoted when he bought them, there's plenty of reason for him to be happy. It's unlikely that he will hit the same heights as an owner that he did as a player, but the fact someone who gave us as much as Ronaldo did is still involved in the game is surely a good thing for football.